Okay, Bismillah, read the next hadith. فقال له حدثنا مفعول فأمر حدثنا. قال أرسلت جاره فكان إذا نزل عليه الوحي بعث إلي فكتبت له فكان إذا ذكرنا الدنيا ذكرها معنا وإذا ذكرنا الآخرة ذكرها معنا وإذا ذكرنا الطعام ذكره معنا فكل هذا أحدثكم عن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Beautiful hadith here. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وأنا خارجة بن زيد بن ثابت. So Kharija is غير منصرف because of the ta marbuta in. So narrated an authority of Kharija, and he was the son of. So this is sometimes, you done this already before. You done it in your nahwa. Sometimes a male name will also have the ta marbuta. Can you think of another male name with the ta marbuta? Can you think of another male name with the ta marbuta? Yeah. Hamza. What were you saying? Hamza also. Hamza is a male name with a ta marbuta. غير منصرف. Another one. Talha, mashallah. Talha is also a male name, but it's also treated as غير منصرف. It's twice. وأنا خارجة ابن زيد زيد بن ثابت. قال دخل نفر على زيد بن ثابت. Once a group entered into the presence, into the company of Zayd ibn Thabit, right? فقالوا, and they said, حدثنا, tell us about Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Tell us give us some information. We'd like to know, like I mentioned to you, even Sahaba Ikram, they love Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam so much, they wanted to hear about him. Hadithna haditha Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Tell us something about Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Fine, no problem. قال كنت جاره. I had the good fortune of being the neighbor of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. فكان إذا نزل عليه الوحي, whenever revelation would come to him, message from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would come to him, right? بعث إلي, he would send to me, call for me. فكتبته له, I would record it for him. So remember, this is also a separate subject matter that you done in Ulum al-Quran in detail, that in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Quran was recorded, but on bits of, like on bones, there was no paper, or maybe there was paper in other places, but in Arabia at that point in time, paper wasn't readily available. They were still a bit backward, right? So maybe on bones, on parks of wood, etc. So it was recorded. So here's a clear proof that in the time of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it was recorded, right? So so that's what we learned from there, that in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it was recorded. Look, now this is the interesting part here. فكان إذا ذكرنا الدنيا ذكرها معنا. When he used to speak about when we used to speak about the dunya, obviously, like anything about the dunya, like this is happening, that is happening, this is the latest information. Russia is attacking Ukraine, Ukraine is retaliating, etc. Right? ذكرها معنا. You would mention it with us. وإذا ذكرنا الآخرة, and when we used to mention the akhirah, ذكرها معنا, used to mention it. Because when we used to remember the akhirah. So yeah, although maybe ذكر means to remember, but means when we used to make mention of the akhirah, you would also mention it, would remember it with us, right? وإذا ذكرنا الطعام, when we would remember or speak about food, ذكره معنا, you speak to us, mention with us. فكل هذا, in all of this, أحدثكم عن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. I'm telling you from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. رواه الترمذي, Imam Tirmidhi narrates this particular riwayat. So this riwayat is an absolutely beautiful riwayat. Let's just look at what the Sharih say from first here in the Shara, and I will tell you why I say I like this riwayat so much. Kharija, first, this person here, Kharija ibn Zayd, he was a tabi'i from amongst the Ansar. Remember, Kharija wasn't a Sahabi. I think I made a mistake earlier. I mentioned he was a Sahabi. He wasn't a Sahabi. He was a Tabi, and he was the son of Zayd ibn Sabit. Now, we know Zayd ibn Sabit was a great Sahabi. He was a great Sahabi, was the reciter of the Quran. So he was from amongst the Ansar, and he also lived in Medina, and he lived in the time of Uthman radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And his father, Zayd ibn Thabit, heard many hadith from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And his father, Zayd ibn Thabit, he was from amongst what we term as the Fuqaha Sab'ah. Remember, I told you, just if I haven't mentioned this before to you, like how, like today, you get certain ulama, they are Qurra, you get certain ulama, they are Mufassirin, you get certain ulama, they are Muftis, they are good in fiqh. Like that, in the time of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, also, everybody had a basic understanding of deen, but certain of the Sahaba Ikram, they were outstanding for the recitation of the Quran. Certain Sahaba Ikram, they were outstanding for the fiqh. If I remember offhand, it was Hazrat ibn Umar, Hazrat ibn Mas'ud, Hazrat Ali, and also here you got the Hazrat Zayd ibn Sabit. So this particular Sahabi, his father, Kharija ibn Zayd ibn Sabitin, he was a Tabi, and his father was a from the Fuqaha Sab'ah, the seven great Fuqaha. That's interesting fact for you. So remember I was telling you, I mentioned this before to you. What this hadith is saying here, I mentioned before to you, that if you, as an alim, or you an appa, you a muallima, whatever, your job is to guide people. Nah? Your job is when you see somebody to do something wrong, you need to advise him with wisdom and hikmat, etc. But at the same time, you mustn't get a reputation. Then when people see you, they say, oh, here comes he now, he's going to give me a lecture. He's going to speak about my hair is not right. He's going to tell me my hair is too length. Or maybe you got nephews, nah? You got nephews, nah? So when oh, here come Lukman Papa, he's going to tell me about my hair. Here come Lukman Papa, he's going to shout me about my trouser. Oh, here's Lukman Papa, he's going to tell me I got a chain. Here's Lukman Papa now, he's going to shout, he's going to take me now for 3 days in Jamaat. Let's run away before Lukman Papa come here now, please. Going to run away because I know when he come here, he's only going to give me madrasa. He's only going to shout me. So you shouldn't get the reputation. Sometimes when you see somebody speak something besides deen also with them, so he mustn't have to speak on, like, I tell you, it's like the guys when they see the Jamaat brothers, oh, yeah, this guy come here now. It's going to take me for 40 years now. This guy, oh, I'm so busy. I can't go. It's going to take me for 3 days now. You're going to take me for cash now. Let me run away from him quickly. Let me run away from him. So don't create this reputation all the time that when somebody see you, they think now they're going to get a lecture. They're going to think they're going to be shouted at. They're going to think now that you're going to take him in Jamaat, or you're going to speak when you speak other things with him, it's not because you want to speak about other things about him. You know your primary objective is to speak about deen. You know that because that's why you are an alim, al-ulama, warasatul anbiya. You know that is your main purpose in life. But the only reason why you're speaking other things is why? Because that you don't want to have this where people must dislike you. They must say, oh, yeah, we're going to get a big lecture now. Here comes Lukman Papa. So you're only doing that so that you can create a relationship with people so that people can like you. You can have a good perception about you. That is why it mentioned that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, when the Sahaba Ikram would speak about tasty food, he also speak about, I like this food, I don't like this food. When they would speak about, what they say, the things about the dunya, you'd speak about the things of the dunya also. So what Kharija want to say here, probably he heard this hadith from his father, it look here, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was also a human being like you. He was not an abnormal person, that not like an angel, that he only had, he never had any desires within him, or he only thought about deen, he never think about any, despite being a human being, despite قُلْ إِنَّمَا أَنَا بَشَرٌ مِثْلُكُمْ يُوحَى إِلَيَّ, despite having that, still, he was able to relate to people, and he was able to advise him. So from this also you learn, when you go in Gush, you speak to people, ask them, how are you, what you doing, what you studying, oh, you're in university, what are you doing, robotics, or you're doing electrical engineering, how's it, what's the opportunity, how's the studies going well, and all that type of thing. Even you go gush, you speak to people. Or that's why sometimes you have a youth program. You don't only do only dawah, only lecture them. You do some fun activities in it. You can understand from this hadith here that you do this different thing, you do this fun things, etc., etc. You speak different things. Why? So that you become relatable. You become relatable, and you don't get the reputation that you only want to bang, bang, bang all the time, right? So here like I told you, so many times people ask, they want you to speak at a wedding, and there's a wedding reception in the hall. Everybody's dressed up fancy all the time. Now you can come big bayan about people out in the mood. People what they worried about. They want to read. You must read Kirat. You must read, and the ladies are taking the service and putting it on their head because the Quran is being read because they're open hair and all that type of thing. So when people are not interested in something, when people are not interested in something, people at that time the wedding is going on, they're not interested in listening to a bayan, they're not interested in listening to the kirat and all that type of thing. So whenever I'm requested that you must give a talk at the reception, or you must give a talk, you ask them off. That's not my. Get somebody to tell people jokes, rather they can tell jokes, because people want to hear jokes at that point in time. They don't want to hear bayan, right? So yeah, from this hadith also you learn what you learn, that you must be able to. This is, it's not the hadith, but it's the mafhum. It is the understanding of hadith. Anzilu nasa manazilahum. That treat people according to their status. Treat people according to their status. Right. So you must be able to treat people according. Don't like I said, when they're not in the mood for a bayan, now you want to give them a bayan. So what are you going to do now? You're gonna make them dislike Deen. You're gonna make them despise Deen, etc. So there's a nice Persian saying. I hope I get the right. It goes like this here: Mardam Shanaz, Mahal Shanaz, Moka Shanaz. Recognize the person who you're speaking to, recognize the time you're speaking, and recognize the opportunity. Don't speak out of time, out of place, because then you're just going to create nafrat for the people. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he could recognize it. Now people are in the mood for Islamic discourse, and he would give them Islamic discourse. He could recognize how people are not in the mood for Islamic discourse. He wouldn't give them Islamic discourse. So also sometimes now you would like also sometimes you feel that I'm an alim, I'm a mufti, I'm a student of Ma'had al-Sufa. So when I go to the, when I'm there, I must be the center of discussion. I must be giving advices. Everybody must be, listening to me. Everybody must be facing me. No, we come with that. It was against the Sunnah. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam spoke other things with other people. Maybe if the guys like fishing, you're speaking about fishing. They like hunting, you're speaking to them about hunting, all that type of thing. And like that, you build a reputation, you build a nice ta'alluq with them. And then when, inshallah, when you give the advice, they are ready and they are open to accept your advice. Okay, read the next riwayat. Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وعن أنس أن رسول الله كان إذا صافح الرجل لم ينزع يده من يده حتى يكون هو الذي ينزع يده، ولا يصرف وجهه عن وجهه حتى يكون هو الذي يصرف وجهه عن وجهه، ولم يرى مقدم ركبتيه ولم يرى مقدم ركبتيه، وتقدم مقدمة ركبتيه بين يديه جليسا له. رواه الترمذي. Okay, another beautiful hadith, the adab and the etiquette that Nabi Sallam taught us. The right in authority of Anas radiallahu ta'ala, he said that Rasulullah Sallam, كان إذا صاحب الرجل, when he used to shake the hand of a person, right? لم ينزع, you got نزع ينزع, لم ينزع يده من يده. You not retract his hand من يده from that person's hands حتى يكون هو الذي ينزع يده, until he, the person who is greeting the musafah, he's the one who retracted his hands. وَلَا يَصْرِفُ وَجْهَهُ, you would not turn his face away عن وجهه, and from that person's face, حتى يكون هو الذي, until that person would turn his face away, right? عن وجهه. And Then the last part of the hadith, you got walam yura muqaddiman, right? Walam yura muqaddiman. You not be seen. That's a majhul, right? Remember that. Yani walam yura Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. You not be seen in such a condition that muqaddiman rukbatay. Rukbatun is what? Your knees. So spreading out his knees in front of a person, right? Baina yadayhi jalisin lahu, a person, but baina yadayhi jalisin lahu, in front of a person sitting in front of him. So you don't have his feet stretched out. Okay, what do you understand? We look at that last part again. What do you understand from this here? That he wouldn't retract his hand from that person until that person took his hand back. What do you tell me? What do you understand from that? Right? So what's the purpose of doing that? You didn't put his hands away. Out of respect, okay, that's right. Anything else? By him not taking his hand away, he's showing that, look here, I'm not greeting you for the sake of greeting you. I enjoy greeting you. Like if you have to do something just for the sake of, like a simple example, I'll give you a simple example to understand. Maybe you're a small child, right? You're 10 years old, you're 11 years old, and some relatives came to visit, right? So your mommy said, look, man, your uncle is here from Saffron, come greet him. So you busy with your PlayStation now, you're very busy. So you just say, Assalamu alaikum, how are you? Are you alright? And you run away. Why? Because you only came to greet him because your mother said you must greet him, right? But your mind is on the PlayStation. But if you came and you enjoyed him, you just sit with him and speak to him. You understand what I'm saying? Or maybe he came there and he said, hey, look, man, what's the latest games here? I got some games here. Then you won't greet him and run away to your PlayStation. You spend more time with him. So the fact that you want to spend more time with him shows you enjoy his company. You enjoy his company. So this is the same thing. When somebody gave their hand to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you don't retract his hand. So what he's saying, I'm enjoying to take your hand, irrespective of whether you are a poor person, whether you are a rich person, whether you are a prominent Sahabi or you're not a prominent Sahabi, but I'm enjoying to hold your hand. I mean, and same thing. وَلَا يَصْرِفُ وَجْهَهُ عَنْ وَجْهِهِ. If that person was speaking to him, he would look at him and give him full attention. So this also we learn is very, very important this year. That we all, me, myself, we are very guilty of this. Sometimes somebody speaking to us and then we're busy with our phones, especially the woman folk, the wife, they get mal that you're busy with your phone. Why the wife tell you, oh, you're busy with your first wife, and I'm the second wife. Your first wife is the phone, right? Remember last time I mentioned that story about when the Jamaat went and they met this one uncle, a very rich person. He said, don't worry, you carry on, give me dawat. I'm just busy doing some work here. So that person says, we meet people that's 20 times richer than you. We So they are same thing, exact same thing. This is the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That when somebody is speaking to you, no matter who it is, even if it's a person, your worker maybe, or somebody of less importance, then you should listen to what they're saying and make them feel important. That's also sunnah. That is also sunnah that you make somebody feel important. You make somebody feel important. They say, Hazrat Mu'ala Mashallah Rahmatullah alayhi. Many of the ulama in PE, they were bad to him. Even my father, Rahmatullah, was bad to Hazrat Mu'ala Mashallah. That they say his salient feature is one of his he was very, very soft person, but one of his salient features and his characteristics was that he would make every single person feel as though he is the most important person, and that he loves him the most. And this was also a sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam make every single sahabi feel very, very important to such an extent that each sahabi would think that he's the most beloved of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Remember that famous hadith where that one sahabi said, Ya Rasulullah, who do you love the most? And he said, I love Aisha. He said, no, Ya radiallahu ta'ala. No, I mean from amongst the men folk, who do you love the most? He said, I love her father. That hadith is also very interesting hadith. Ulama mentioned a man mustn't feel shy to say love his wife. Imagine Nabi Sallallahu in front of all the senior Sahaba Ikram. He's saying, I love Aisha, my wife, the most. Nowadays we feel shy to say we love our wife. We feel shy to say I love you. But it's a separate subject for another time. But the point what I want to make is ulama say from that hadith, you learn that this Sahabi, why did he ask Rasulullah, would you love the most? Because he thought Rasulullah loved him. You know what I'm saying? Because that is how Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam interacted with the Sahaba Ikram. So same thing here, that when you're speaking to somebody, when you're dealing with somebody, look at them, give them attention, especially your wife, make them feel important, just to show like to be busy with your phone or to be busy with something else when somebody is speaking to you, that is totally against the sunnah. It is totally, and maybe this in today's day and age where we've all been corrupt with our smartphones. Most of the time we're busy with our smartphones. We don't want to listen to people. Maybe this is a sunnah. Maybe there's a sunnah that we should try to re-aliven man ahya sunnati in the fasadi samani. Whoever alive a sunnah of mine when everybody when the sunnah has become mafqood, lost, then this falahu ajru mi'ati shaheed, right? So I was telling you the idea is that you make a person feel that important, that is part of the sunnah. So lam yanzi' yadahu. So you'd wait till that person retract his hands. And so that's a sunnah. So remember, that's the first sunnah. That don't pull your hand back. Second one, don't turn your face away from somebody when you are speaking to that person or that person is speaking to you, giving your full attention. This is husnul akhlaq. And here it's also is mentioned, this is like, it is tawaduk. It is also humility that when somebody is speaking to you, listen to them. Then walam yura muqaddiman. I tell you, translate this like this. He was not seen muqaddiman rukbatay, to be stretching out his knees bayna yaday jalisin lahu, in front. That's a zarf, ne? In front of jalisin lahu, a person that sat with him, whatever. So yes, mentioned also in the Shara that it was the general sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that he would not stretch out his feet in front of people. Yes, mentioned this is actually the quality of the mutakabbirin. So although the word knees is mentioned, but basically means to stretch out your feet, right? Okay, read the next riwayat. Okay, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Another sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. وعنه أن رسول كان لا يدخر شيئا لغد رواه الترمذي. That also narrate the authority of, what was it, as it Anas radiallahu anhu. Nabi Sallallahu, the nice way to, or the best way to translate, you would not hoard anything for tomorrow. Nabi Sallallahu had absolute complete tawakkul in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Although you know this, yeah, in certain riwayat is mentioned that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam would give his wives the entire provision for the whole year, like their allotment of wheat, whatever. We'd give it one time to them, right? So many Messiah we learn from that, to give your wife the provisions, your naam, nafaka, that you'll do in the fiqh books. Inshallah, maybe you'll do it in one of Zim's period, which is also comes online in Hidayah Shareef. You done kitab of nafaka already, not yet? We'll come to that. That's a separate subject. But what this hadith here is saying is that the Rasulullah would not hoard anything from his personal self. Yes, he'd give his wife the whole year's provision, but for his personal self, you don't hoard anything. He had complete tawakkul. We done the other hadith where Nabi Sallallahu gave it one sahabi a whole valley of sheep, right? Remember? So for others, you'd give them the right, but for his personal self, he had complete trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Read the next riwayat. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. وعن جابر رضي الله تعالى عنه narrate the authority of the Jabir رضي الله تعالى عنه رواه في شرح سنتي. رأيتنا authority of Jabir radiallahu ta'ala, he said that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this is, إضافة التخصيص, where you have like you bring the Mawsul Sifat as a mudaf ilayh. So you spend length. So literally translated, he was lengthy of silence. But I told you, like how you said Kabiru, just Chisam, Kathira, Sha'ri, whatever, that you would spend lengthy time for long periods of time, protracted periods of time in silence. Rawahu fi Sharh Sunnah, and he narrates this riwayat in Sharh Sunnah. So in other words, Nabi Sallallahu would think about the Akhirat. You think about, the matters of this dunya. Just turn the page, please. So you think about his concern for the ummah, concern that how you can propagate this deen. You turn the page. How you can think about the akhirat, making muzakara, right? وَتَبَتَّلْ إِلَيْهِ تَبْتِيلًا. So that from that also you learn also a sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yes, when people come, you show them a nice face, you speak to them, but you need to also reflect, contemplate, and in the terms of the Sufi, they call it muraqabah. Muraqabah, yuraqibu. Like how you say, you think about, take stock of your actions, what you're doing, where you're going, are you headed in the right direction, etc., etc. So that is also the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Carry on. Okay. Bismillah. ترتيل وترسيل رواه أبو داود. Right now, authority of Jabir, he said that there was in the Rasulullah speech tartil and what tarsil. Okay, we're going to start discuss each word in detail here, but basically we did discuss a little bit about this before. What it means here is this, that like so we done it hadith, ma kana yasrudu kasardikum, that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam would not speak loud and incoherently. Remember, his main purpose that he came to the dunya was to convey the Shariah. يا أيها الرسول بلغ ما أنزل إليك من ربك كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر. So just for the timing, I'll discuss each word in detail now, right? But just for the moment, you can say to this moment that there was a pause in his speech. You speak slowly, coherently, clearly, so that he could be understood. So from this also, we learn also it is the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to speak slowly, to speak clearly. When you are giving an instruction, when you're telling something to do something, or you're giving advice, you're giving nasihat, etc. Be clear, be slow, be explicit in your instruction. Tartil, warattil, this word comes in the Quran, warattil al-Quran tartila. It means, tartil means to make apparent every letter slowly. That means. One is sardul kalam. Remember this now. The opposite of sardul kalam is tartilul kalam, right? So you say, la tusrid fi kalamik, don't be hasten. Asrada yusrid, la tusrid. What is ratta tartil? Warattil fil kalam. So rattala yurattilu means to make slowly, clearly, and sar means to speak or to recite fast where you gobble up of the hard word, you gobble up half of the word. So these are antonyms. Sardul kalam and tartirul kalam. Remember this, inshallah, to help in future. Sardul kalam, ma kana yusridu kasardikumul kalam. All right. Then the other word is this, tarsil. Tarsil. Tarsil also means to speak slowly. Some ulama say actually tartil and tarsil, listen to this nicely. They are synonyms, they have the same meaning. But listen nicely, tartil refers to recitation of the Quran, and tarsil refers to your normal general everyday speech. So that is so if you look at it literally or lexically, both have the same meaning. And in a technical sense of the word, so both you can say tartil and tarsil, both means to speak slowly, clearly. So that is the literal meaning. But in a technical sense, we will say tartil refers to slow, clear recitation of the Quran, And tarsil refer to slow speaking, clear speaking, which is a sunnah of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So if you naturally, habitually a fast speaker, then you should make that type of effort to learn to speak slowly and clearly, because that is also the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They say PPE people are generally guilty of that. Nah? They speak very quick, fast, right? Unclear, incoherently. Okay. So basically, the main thing is look at the next hadith. In fact, there's something extra about of that. Okay, read the next one. Okay, look at it. Riwayat Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This is just actually a ta'kid of the previous riwayat. وأنا عائشة narrate the authority of the Aisha Siddiqa رضي الله تعالى عنها قالت ما كان رسول الله يسرد سردكم. Nabi Sallallahu would not hasten سردكم, your hastening. سردكم هذا. So this is Ismul Ishara, which comes, remember, Ismul Ishara won't become as a mudaf, will come after the mudaf ilayh. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam will not hasten like how you people hasten and speak fast. ولكن now, but you speak يتكلم بكلام. You speak in such a manner, with such a speech, بينه فصل, between it would be a gap. يحفظه من جلس إليه. So من جلس إليه, that is a file, من is اسم الموصول, جلس جملة فعلية, and إليه جار مجرور متعلق to جلس, right? And it becomes a جملة فعلية, which becomes the sila of man, and موصول sila becomes the file. So you say يحفظه من جلس, who was sitting with him, he was able to grasp, you can say grasp, he was able to memorize, you can say he was able to comprehend what Nabi Sallallahu was saying. So to speak slowly, clearly, so that a person can comprehend what you're saying, that is also the sunnah of Rasulullah Sallallahu. Okay, read the next riwayat, inshallah. Okay, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. وعن عبد الله بن الحارث بن جزء قال ما رأيت أحد أكثر تبسما من رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم رواه الترمذي. Narrating the authority of Abdullah ibn Harith ibn Jaz'i, he said, I did not see anyone more, right, tabassuman, smiley, than Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So from this hadith also you learn that to be cheerful, to be happy, to be smiley, that is also the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yes, we all have our problems. We have our marital problems. We have our financial problems. We have our domestic problems. We have our emotional problems. We have our losses. But despite that, to be smiley, to put a smile on your dial, that is the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Who can say they had more problems than, or not problems, I'll say they had more heartache, they had more tragedy than Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Lost his mother, lost his father, then lost his uncle Abu Talib, then lost his beloved wife Hazrat Khadija, then his daughters were widowed and then they were divorced, and then his children passed away, etc., etc. So Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, nobody's tragedy or heartache or heartbreaking compared to that of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But despite that, he had that he still had the time to smile, to laugh, to joke with the Sahaba Ikram. Doesn't mean he must do speak inappropriate things, whatever. But he would speak to them, would laugh to them, he'd be cheerful, etc. So, أحدا أكثر تبسما. The nice way to translate is more smiley or more cheerful than Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So from this you learn it's also the sunnah of Rasulullah to be cheerful, to be chirpy with the people around you, to be happy, etc., etc. Read the next one. عن عبد الله بن سلام قال كان رسول الله إذا جلس يتحدث يكثر أن يرفع طرفه إلى السماء. رواه أبو داود. Narrated authority of Abdullah ibn Salam, he said that Rasulullah sallam, when he would sit يتحدث, to speak, يكثر, he would abundantly أن يرفع طرفه إلى السماء, abundantly he would raise his side towards the sky. رواه Abu Dawud. Abu Dawud narrates this particular riwayat. Some ulama say the reason why he would do this was in anticipation of wahi. That you would see now maybe sometimes Jibra'il Amin or somebody will be coming with wahi, etc. So that's why he would look up to the heavens. Okay, I see we nicely stopped at the end of the first. Let's stop there, inshallah. Then we can switch over now over to the tafsir, the same link. We will switch over to the tafsir, inshallah.